People v. Persons. October 18, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. There are 4 political statuses generally available to Americans. They are, 1. State national, 2. State citizen, 3. United States citizen, federal and territorial, and 4. Citizen of the United States, municipal. The first political status, state national, confers our nationality. As Americans, we are typically born within the geographical borders of a state of the Union, and we technically acquire our nationality from our sovereign state. Thus, though you have not been taught or had cause to think deeply about this, you are actually a Wisconsinite, a New Yorker, a Texan, a Virginian, a Minnesotan, and so on, and taken together, we call ourselves Americans. If we are born to American parents living in foreign places, we naturally acquire and can claim our nationality through either one of our parents. If we immigrate to this country legally and go through the naturalization process, we can choose to adopt a state of the Union as our home and permanent domicile, and redefine our nationality to be that of an American state national like everyone else. We say that, for example, Minnesota is populated by Minnesotans. Minnesota is a physically defined state, and Minnesotans are all people adopting that place as their home, and they are part of the population of Minnesota. Note the verbiage, people, home, population. You can also choose, once you are of age 21, in this case, to adopt the political status of a state citizen, one of the people to whom the guarantees of the constitutions are owed. All citizenships involve a responsibility of some kind to serve a government. State citizenship is no different. By joining your state assembly, you become involved in fulfilling the responsibilities of self-governance, and you reap the rewards thereof. As Americans, we have the absolute right to self-govern, but we must also organize and accept the responsibilities of self-governance to actually exercise that right. Otherwise, it's just academic, and our actual government, of the people, by the people, for the people, goes dormant. State nationals are living beings known as people. State citizens are known as lawful persons or people. Assuming the responsibilities and rights of a state citizen and standing in the capacity of your lawful person enables you to enforce the contractual guarantees of the federal constitutions, so this is the necessary political status for you to adopt if you, 1. Want the freedom of self-governance, and 2. Wish to enforce the constitutional guarantees you are owed. Both these political statuses, state national and state citizen, are domestic with respect to the United States, meaning that they exist and function within the borders of the several states that are members of the Union of States formed by the unanimous Declaration of Independence. There is only one caveat. If you choose to stand as one of the people, you must forswear all other allegiances to any other state. That is, you can't exercise dual citizenship and claim to be a Texan Oklahoman or a British Floridian. If you step beyond this point, you leave the land jurisdiction of your home state and its sister states behind, and enter the airy-fairy realm of the international jurisdiction of the sea and legal persons. Legal persons have no physical connection to land or soil, nor to flesh and blood. They are what are known as legal fictions. They function under international law and represent officers and employees and wards of various governments and corporations. For example, a mayor or a governor or a president is a legal person, but also notice that if you are at sea, that is, on the high seas, your own trade name that you use on land, becomes a legal person, and as a result of treaties long established, you, an American, are considered a ward of the British monarch while on the high seas or on the navigable inland waterways of your own country. Thus, there is an interface, like a toggle switch between your lawful person as a state citizen on the land, and your legal person on the sea, and there is an equally profound difference in your capacities. As a state citizen and lawful person standing on the land and soil of your state, you are subject only to your own government. When you venture out on the high seas or navigable inland waterways, however, you become subject to international law, and you are redefined as a legal person and as a ward subject to the King of Great Britain. Which one you are is determined by your standing, literally, where or in which capacity you are acting, lawful person, state citizen, or legal person, ward of the king. Legal persons are said to inhabit our country and are not considered part of our population. Instead, they merely reside among us for a temporary period of time for specific purposes, and instead of living in our states of the Union, they are United States citizens operating in international jurisdiction and inhabiting or residing in equally fictional states of states, like a state of New Hampshire. Note the verbiage, resident, inhabitant, state of state. Please notice that living people populate New Hampshire, but there are no living people in the state of New Hampshire. Instead, there are legal persons inhabiting or residing in the state of New Hampshire and adopting the capacity of officers or employees of corporations, business entities and governments operating internationally. This is the realm of United States citizens, a legal, not lawful, political status that came into being first with the creation of the Federation of States doing business as the United States of America on September 9, 1776, and secondly, with the adoption of the three original constitutions and delegation of some of the authorities of the Federation in international and global jurisdiction to 1. The States of America, 2. The British Territorial United States Government, and 3. The Municipal United States Government. There are three kinds of United States citizens: 1. Federal, 2. Varieties, 2. Territorial, and 3. Municipal, 2 kinds, and they are all legal persons. As we have seen, United States citizens might be serving as officers or elected officials of various kinds of corporations, they might be temporarily passing through international jurisdiction on a tramp steamer headed to Peru, they might be working for the federal government and temporarily residing here in a state of state, they might be acting in behalf of the United States of America Federation or the States of America Confederation, they might be acting as territorial citizens of the state of Montana or the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. What they all have in common is that 1. They are legal fictions, and are dead, non-living entities by definition, 2. They are inhabiting the foreign international jurisdiction of the sea owed to the states or delegated to the states of states, 3. They are subject to international law. This applies to both kinds of federal United States citizens, the United States of America citizens and the United States citizens, and territorial United States citizens, that is, citizens of the United States of America. Those United States citizens who work for the Federation of States DBA the United States of America include all our most powerful international officials, including the Continental Marshals, who exercise the non-delegated powers of this country in international jurisdiction. There should also be, but presently are not, employees of the Confederation DBA the States of America exercising the delegated federal powers, apart from those duties specifically assigned to the territorial and municipal United States entities. The fact that the Confederation doing business as the States of America is missing since the Civil War has been the excuse used by the other federal contractors, the British Territorial United States and the Municipal United States, to claim that a state of emergency exists. In fact, all the powers delegated to the States of America automatically return to the delegator, the United States of America, a long time ago, and all such claims by the other two subcontractors are specious at best. Municipal citizens of the United States are also legal persons that take things a step farther removed from the actual and factual realm. These citizens exist in the global jurisdiction of the air and are subject to municipal law. There are two kinds of municipal citizens of the United States: 1. People adopting this political status to serve the municipal government, for example, Postal Service employees, or 2. Actual United States corporations chartered by the municipal government. This is where you find all the strawman entities, John M. Doe, and General Motors and Carlyle, Inc. and State of New York and New York City. Now all of this complex and initially confusing, but if you are Joe average American, what it comes down to is this: you want to be acting in your lawful capacities as either a state national or as a state citizen. What it further comes down to is that unless enough of us declare our political status as state citizens and accept the responsibility of state citizenship, our lawful government, of the people, by the people, and for the people, goes dormant. It's still sovereign, but it is not exercising its sovereignty, because we are not undertaking the functions and filling the offices of our lawful government. This unwitting neglect on our part leaves the door open for corporations, including foreign corporations, to come in as federal contractors and rule the roost. It allows the king's courts to harass and pillage us. It allows the Pope's minions to enslave us. Now, obviously, there is a vast difference between the lawful persons and the legal persons. Lawful persons have substance. They are tied to physical reality and fully defined. Maine, for example, is an actual place defined by physical borders, weights, and measures, and it has an actual living, breathing population that is also physically defined. Maine and the people who live their own actual assets: land, soil, gold coins, trees, fish, and only lawful persons can own these lawful assets. Legal persons are immaterial and incomplete, a condition described in law as inchoate. They exist only in the realms of international business and global commerce. The inchoate entity doing business as the State of Michigan is just a business organization chartered by the British Territorial United States government. It has no borders or physical reality. The inhabitants, also known as residents of the state of Maine or state of Maine, have no ability to actually own physical assets in Maine. At most, they may act as employees of corporations and trade in credit and debt instruments known as securities. And now, finally, we come to the reasons why both the NLA and the Jural Assemblies are just more wheel-spinning exercises. They are organizations formed by legal persons, that is, by those choosing to act as United States citizens and/or citizens of the United States, not by those who have declared their political status as state citizens. As legal persons, they are functioning in a foreign and immaterial capacity, and they are attempting to commandeer rights and authorities and responsibilities that belong to the people, that is, lawful persons operating as state citizens. Whether they realize it or not, what they are doing is so improper that it can be considered an unlawful and illegal attempted takeover of our actual government. NLA and all these misbegotten Jural Assemblies that are running around half-cocked are functioning in the wrong jurisdiction to do what they say they want to do, and the people involved are acting as inhabitants of foreign states of states. Not as part of the actual state's population. It is a classic situation of, you can't get there from here. You can't exercise the rights and the prerogatives of our actual government or enforce the constitutions while acting as a foreign government employee or dependent of a foreign corporation. Furthermore, you can't operate any kind of state or even a state-of-state organization on the basis of a Jural Assembly or a grand jury. That's like building a car door and pretending to have a car. We have talked to these groups until we are blue in the face, and despite their long record of accomplishing nothing toward relief or justice for the people of this country, and despite the fact that what they are doing is patently improper and may amount to insurrection against the actual government, they persist in their wrong-headed assumptions. So the NLA and all these improperly organized Jural Assemblies get nowhere and do nothing effective toward enforcing the constitutional guarantees, because they don't adopt the correct political status, standing, and jurisdiction to do so. What is worse in our opinion, is that they actually endanger their membership as a result, and leave people who are simply trying to exercise their God-given and constitutionally guaranteed rights subject to attack. We have heard many horror stories wherein federal subcontractors have sicked the IRS on people, seized their homes in bogus foreclosures, even seized their children or burned their businesses to the ground. My people are being destroyed for lack of knowledge. Members of the NLA and the MGJA-led Jural Assemblies are not functioning in the correct capacity, so their members are still being hunted and harassed and entrapped by federal agents. Besides the fact that their members are not declaring their proper political status, these organizations don't build all the pieces of state government necessary to do the job of self-governance. They just waste time and money and cause trouble, and all because they don't grasp the difference between people and persons. Thankfully, other Americans who do get it have done the work and done it correctly, so that they can exercise their lawful persons to gain control of the runaway train that is functioning, somewhat, as a government in this country. They have organized their actual states and are operating as people, by making the correct declarations and assembling their populace. Everyone who is sick and tired of being harassed by their own employees and attacked and misrepresented and taxed to death in their own country, are invited to join their state assembly. There are a few states lagging behind in this process who still need state coordinators. Go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net and step to the plate. Accept the responsibilities of self-governance and exercise your rights, don't just stand there talking about them.